Edge Designations, CFA Level 1, CFA Level 2, and CFA Level 3, Ethical and Professional Standards, Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct. And the reason, of course, that we address this particular video as an introductory video for all three levels, CFA Level 1, 2, and 3, is that all three levels have got the Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct in them as part of their syllabuses, all three levels, level 1, 2, and 3. And the changes made for 2025 therefore apply to all three levels. What we've decided to do is not to re-record brand new videos for the entire Code of Ethics and Standards of Professional Conduct, because they are essentially the same as they always have been. What we decided to do is to put together an introductory video that relates to all three levels of CFA and relates to the changes that have been applied for 2025 exam cycle. Okay, and as we go through the particular changes to the Standards of Professional Conduct, what you'll notice is they are not dramatic. Okay, and of course that's why we decided not to do a complete rewrite and a complete re-record of the ethics, and just to focus rather than on what has changed. And it's obviously going to be of particular use to candidates that have been in the system for a bit and that have studied the old. I say old in inverted commas, of course, because they're not that old. There's just been three little changes really that have been made to them. And have studied the code and the standards of professional conduct and really want to know just what the changes are. So we thought we would do it this particular way as just more efficient and effective. Okay, and let's go through the three changes. I've labeled them, as you can see over here: change 1, change 2, change 3. Let's start off first and foremost with change number 1. Change number 1 is under professionalism. And remember, let's just do a quick revision now that we are here. I always like to do a bit of revision. Okay, in terms of the standards of professional conduct, and I'm going to take you down to the bottom over here. Let's give ourselves a little bit of space. And if you remember the standards of professional conduct, okay, there are 7 standards of professional conduct, which, and I'm going to look. Let's look at 2024. When I mean 2024, it's 2024 and any time before that. And then we'll look at 2025. So in 2024, okay, we'll call them the old standards of professional conduct. There were 7 standards of professional conduct that broke down into 21 substandards. Okay. Okay. For example, standard number 1, which is professionalism. Okay. Had 4 substandards to it, and as we go down those, okay, we see each of the big 7 standards of professional conduct would break down into 2 or 3 little components, some as much as 5, giving you a total of 21 substandards, we could call those. Came along 2025 and some of the changes that have been made. Okay, standards of professional conduct still 7, okay, but now they break down into 22. Okay, and that is one of the big changes, that's one of the changes made for 2025. And where did, if you have a look at from 24 to 25, where did that additional 1 come in? Let me take you back up now. The additional 1 came in the very first standard, which is standard 1, professionalism. And it's in the past, there were 4, okay, substandards. Part of professionalism in the past, there were 4, now there are 5. That is the only additional standard or substandard that's been introduced. The other 2 changes, which we're going to call change 2 and 3, are reflected within the actual existing standards. This is the only brand new standard, and it's called standard 1, professionalism, competence. And nice and easy. What does it say? Members and candidates must act with and maintain the competence necessary to fulfill their professional responsibility. Now, whatever professional responsibilities the particular member or candidate is involved in, they must ensure that they are competent to fulfill that particular responsibility. Okay, let's look at the guidance related to this particular standard. The guidance over here talks as a result of the diverse range of professional services that members and candidates engage in. And you can see that that's now become a bit of an issue. So they can't, it's just always something to remember, okay, that standard 1E, that they don't dictate very specific programs and details surrounding competence. And the reason for that, of course, is exactly the very first line over here. Professionals, people are engaging, members and candidates engage in many different and diverse professional services. All you need to do is make sure that within your level of professional responsibility, you are now competent. What does that mean? They require knowledge, skills, and ability. We'll talk about those in a second in order to successfully fulfill their role. Something important to remember, okay, these particular skills, knowledge, and abilities that they have at one point in time may change over time. Why? The member's role may be expanded. They may require a new or different level of knowledge, skills, and abilities. What this particular standard came along and said, they require members and candidates to act and maintain appropriate levels of competence, which in turn will ensure a high standard of professional service to their clients and employees. So this is really a service going out to the market, in a sense, a service going out to the employer as well, just to make sure that the candidate, okay, or member is competent. We look at some definitions over here. Knowledge is the body of information used by the candidate or member to perform their functions. Skills, the capabilities used to perform specific acts or tasks. And abilities, okay, the capabilities and attitudes that support behaviors and that result in observable outcomes. Okay, this particular standard goes a little bit further, because you may be asking the question, well, hold on a second, surely in the past members needed to be competent. Okay, of course they did. Okay, but this standard comes along and is a little bit more explicit than previous standards and tells you that the members need to continuously maintain and improve their levels of competence. Okay, these skills and abilities will vary depending on the nature and complexity of their responsibilities. Okay, so yeah, and that's why it's a little bit of an interesting standard, in that there will be different competence criteria, okay, for different members. Standard 1E doesn't dictate any specific programs for competence, and members can demonstrate their level of competence, okay, in many different ways. We look over here at some procedures for compliance. Number one, being constantly involved in professional development and continuing education programs, attending seminars, conferences, and other educational platforms, studying towards professional designations or certifications. There's a nice advert for any of the professional designations, CFA, FRM, CAI, any of those. Attending employer training on a regular basis, being involved in informal continuing education or self-study, participating in expert groups, learning new skills and obtaining new knowledge when professional responsibilities change. And of course, it becomes very applicable in terms of the continuing changing landscape that we're experiencing, things like AI, machine learning, and that. And as things change, we've got to become competent in all areas. We look over the page, change number 2, and standard 5B, okay, which went under the main standard professional conduct, standard 5, investment analysis, recommendation, and actions. And the particular one that changed a little bit was standard 5B, communication with clients and prospective clients. And if you have a look at the old standard, I say old with respect, of course, the old standard had 4 points attached to them when we spoke about communication with clients and prospective clients. If you have a look at that old standard, there were 4 different dots that we needed to address. We've added in a 5th dot, a 5th point over here. So all 4 points from the past, dealing with investment analysis, recommendations, action, standard 5B, communication with clients and prospective clients, remain the same, yet we have a new one that has been added to that. What does it tell us? Members and candidates must disclose to clients and prospective clients the nature of the services provided, along with information about the cost to the client associated with those services. So what this came along to add that was not there in the past, or it could have well been read into what we had in the past, a little bit different. It's important to provide clients with information surrounding the nature of the services they can expect from investment professionals, as well as the financial impact that they can expect from those services. Okay. This particular standard now requires members and candidates to disclose the basic format and principles of the investment processes used to analyze and to disclose any major changes to these processes. Very similar to what we had in the past, a little bit more specific, a little bit added. As mentioned, there were 4 dots before. This is dot number 5 that's been added to the process. Okay, change number 3, let's have a look over here, the last one. Standard 6A, which is conflicts of interest. What's been added in over here, okay, is that in the past, okay, we spoke about disclosure predominantly. Look what the standard now says. The standard now talks about avoid or disclose conflicts. We never had avoidance before. Okay, the previous standards dealt predominantly with disclosure. Now we talk more about avoidance. Well, we talk about avoidance in addition. Let's have a look over here. Members and candidates must avoid, or if they can't avoid, they must make full and fair disclosure of all matters that could reasonably, and this is exactly what it was in the past, could reasonably be expected to impair their independence and objectivity and interfere with respective duties to their clients, prospective clients, and employer. So the only thing that's really been added over here, and as mentioned right at the beginning of this particular video, there's not a whole lot of change from 2024 to what we have now in 2025, and you can see that is evidenced over here. And let's just conclude. The previous standard did not make specific mention of avoiding conflicts. This new or amended standard says that best practice is to avoid conflicts or the appearance of conflicts. And of course, everybody knows, being in business, there are times it's not reasonable for members to avoid a conflict. If you can't avoid the conflict, you must. Full and fair disclosure of the conflict is therefore required. Okay, so hopefully everyone's got a good sense of the particular changes, and obviously we at Edge have kept everything constant. So we've really we've recorded this particular video just to give people a sense of what the changes are. But other than these changes, be rest assured and be comforted that you can be confident that the rest of the syllabus in terms of ethics is carbon copy what it was in the past. So if, for example, you are repeating level 1 or you're a level 2 or level 3 student and candidate, and you have studied ethics in the past and you worry, oh no, I've heard there's big changes, this is it. Okay, I hope I haven't downplayed it at all, but everything else that you have studied in the past is all still valid, it's all still relevant. These are the only changes that you need to be mindful of.